Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And the reaction from the community following this latest sneak peek has been incredible. So much so that I want to go back and talk about some of the theories, actually one of the most popular theories that was posted as a comment on my video. This theory has over 150 likes. It's by Nixter165, and he said the 131, 135 numbers that we talked about in the previous video. If you haven't seen it, you have to go and watch that previous sneak peek video. But basically, those numbers that Danny Koo posted, those numbers, and this is the comment. But these numbers that Danny Koo posted: 131, 131, 135, Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow. Apparently, they're saying that this is referring to Avengers Volume 1, issues 131 to 135. The main villain is Kang the Conqueror. So I went ahead and checked up on that because my comic knowledge is not that insane, but I wanted to show you guys what it is. Now there's only one issue, there's only one run of Avengers Volume 1 that goes up to 131, 135, and it's all the way back to 1963. Now we do have a reference to 1963 in the comics, or sorry, in Marvel Future Fight. One of the comic cards is from 1963. It is the Nebula card, I believe, and it's Avengers 318. So you can see a lot of this artwork is very similarly captured in this one here, where Nebula, I believe she controls Nebula Triumphant. I think she gets the Infinity Gauntlet, I'm not sure. But this is from, I believe this is from 1963 or the 1960s. Anyways, so yeah, going back to the issue, this is issue 135, and actually the main villain, I don't know if the main villain is Kang so much as it's Ultron. So that does throw a wrench in the idea. But if you go back, if you go back to 131, you do meet Kang, and I'm showing you this from the Marvel website, looking at the comics. Kang is in sort of a temporally battling Rama Tut. And if you don't know who Kang is, I'll explain it in a second. And then Kang gets involved with this sort of issue that the Avengers are having. You can see classic Hawkeye, classic Thor, with Ultron and Vision and the Human Torch. That's sort of where they all intersect. And actually, the story begins, interestingly enough, with Moondragon and Mantis, because they actually go to Vietnam to find out more about Mantis's history and her past. And so that is interesting because the Vietnam reference does intersect with one of the four members of the Warriors of the Sky. The Blue Dragon is Vietnamese. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or if that's on purpose. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. There is also mention of Shanghai as well, I believe, in one of the previous issues. I think the very first issue. So we see here Human Torch, and there's this sort of mini plot involving Vision and involving his sentience. But they do also mention Shanghai. We see here they're battling in the realm of Limbo with the Legion of the Unliving. I don't think we're going to see the Legion of Unliving in the update. But yeah, it does also mention, I can't find out exactly where it is, but they do also mention Shanghai. So some interesting really old comics being pulled up here. Now, who is Kang, for those of you that are wondering? Because we've mentioned Kang, and Kang is actually pretty crucial to this reference of time travel. So, you know, as we know from the sneak peek, the Avengers, well, Captain America, Black Widow, and Iron Man, they are the ones that sign up for the time travel. And then we see in the sneak peek, we see, you know, they're wanted as criminals. Now, Kang, also known as Kang the Conqueror, is he's a supervillain, and he basically time travels to different times to conquer them. He's kind of like Thanos. Thanos. Yeah, Thanos wants to conquer things. Most supervillains, most like uber villains, want to conquer things. They want to be kings, they want to be queens, they want to rule over planets, people, cities, universes. But Kang takes it a step further. He doesn't want to just rule, you know, a universe or a galaxy or whatever. In this time, he wants to rule in the past, present, and in the future. So one of his sort of main goals, or one of the fundamental tenets of the character, is that he time travels a lot. And oftentimes when characters end up time traveling themselves, eventually they will either catch the attention of Kang because he wants to know what they're up to, or they will end up meeting and fighting or teaming up with Kang in certain instances. Whenever there's time travel in Marvel, Kang is not far behind. And so A lot of people actually referenced Kang as well and wondered if Kang was going to be introduced at the end of Endgame, because that also deals heavily with time travel. They use the quantum realm, they use Ant-Man's Pym particles, but although that doesn't necessarily directly relate to Kang, the idea of time traveling, and especially going back and trying to change things or take things from different times, relates to Kang and probably would catch his attention, if not in that story, then in a follow-up story. And they could easily just throw in like a scene like they did it in so many previous Marvel movies, where the heroes collect one of the Infinity Stones and that catches the attention of Thanos. Well, you know, a bunch of superheroes going back and forth through time, especially Captain America does it multiple times, that would absolutely catch the attention of someone as time travel obsessed and as well versed with that kind of technology as Kang. As far as him being a new character being introduced as well, I mean, that would be amazing. It opens the door to a lot of other new characters. And Kang is sort of, he's not necessarily on the level of Thanos in terms of popularity, but he does have a long list of both allies and adversaries that they could add to the game. He's already been added in Contest of Champions in a limited format, so it would be really nice to see him as a playable character rather than as a token character, a la, like, you know, we've got Taskmaster and Baku right now. But we could see Kang as the main villain of the Chapter 14 story. Now, another idea that was also put out on the comments that I originally thought was very clever, I actually went and did a bit of investigating, and I don't want to say that the idea is wrong necessarily, but it refers to a video game rather than referring to actual comics. And it was reference to Earth 131 and reference to Silver Sable, but I looked it up, and that references a Nintendo DS game. I think it's called Spider-Man in the Battle for New York. So as much as I want to, you know, believe or kind of want that that to be the case for the numbers and what the code means, like, you know, what do the numbers mean, Mason? I highly doubt that Danny Koo would be referencing video games. Like, I don't think he'd be playing a Nintendo DS game and then referencing it in a Marvel Future Fight sneak peek. That just seems like a stretch. I think if Danny Koo's going to make a reference, most likely it's going to be to comic book characters, so it's going to be to comic issues. And that was my initial impression of the 131 135. 135 is a pretty high number. It seems like it only fits with something like comic book characters and comic book issues. So I wanted to bring that to your attention because I really love when the community gets involved in sneak peeks. I really love when things are cryptic and we sort of get together to try to figure them out. Kang is a huge ask, and he's a character that we've been wanting for to be added to the game for a long time. Other characters like Sentry and Spider-Woman and stuff like that. So I also wanted to bring up the Kang reference. I mean, going back to that original story from 1963, if you want to go and read that, Avengers Volume 1, issue 131 to 135, the undead guys, I don't think they could come to the game because I don't think they would be added to the game because they're just too sort of generic and they look like sort of Frankenstein ripoffs. But Ultron could definitely get a rework and definitely get a new uniform. Vision just got one, so I don't think he would get another one, and it's just too similar to his base default look. So I doubt that. I doubt Human Torch would get anything, but there is the intersection of at least the numbers, time travel, Ultron, and Kang. It's very loose. You know, as much as I like the idea and I really like the work that Nixter did, it does seem very loose. I definitely think that there might be something a bit more on the nose for what we're going for, something that's strictly time travel rather than being sort of a mixture of time travel and just other things. I mean, like, it's not like the Avengers are time traveling when they go to Vietnam and they meet up with Moondragon with Mantis to try to figure out her backstory. That's just the Avengers doing Avengers things. That's not having to do with time travel and stuff like that specifically. So, you know, with that being said, I want to leave it and I want to send it back to you guys. Is anyone out there? Is there anyone who has an even better idea? Can you sort of, what is it called? Like those people that crack codes, code breakers? Are there any code breakers who can crack this simple yet complicated Danny Koo cryptic tweet of 131 135, Captain America, Black Widow, Iron Man? I'm very, very curious to see what you guys have to say. I love reading your comments. I love waking up, seeing all of the interesting ideas that you guys put forth, and I think it adds a lot of spice to these sneak peeks. And I'm really excited to know what the next sneak peek is going to be and if we're going to get more information about that. I mean, think about the scope of this update already. with just 2 sneak peeks. We already know we're getting Warriors of the Sky. We're hoping for a new game mode that possibly introduces teams of 4. That's huge. But then we've got this thing involving the original characters of the game, Captain America, Black Widow, and Iron Man, time traveling. Now we're talking about Doctor Doom and his infamous Iron Man uniform. Now we're talking about Sin and Crossbones possibly getting uniforms as well. We're talking about Kang. We're talking about Ultron. I mean, it really cannot get better than this, especially for the first update of the year 2020. Like, to start it off with a bang like this is just absolutely crazy. Now, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be seeing a sneak peek tonight, so we might have to wait another 2 or 3 days before we see a proper sneak peek. So until then, we're just going to have to rely on our own theories to sort of keep us entertained in the meantime. So yeah, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think of those ideas from Nixter and others. And also, if you have any ideas, especially if they're, you know, more on the nose with time travel and specifically Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Widow, hit me up. I would love to read every single one of your ideas. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.